Good morning. So let's talk about the dark web, how it works, and let's go visit some sites. No? So a bit of history on the dark web. It is the foundation of the dark web is Freenet. No, it is actually a thesis out of a student from Scotland. No? That was year 2000. Around year 2002, the U.S. Naval Research released or created Tor, which is the onion router. That is the browser that we use to access the dark web. No? Primarily, they released that or they developed that for the U.S. intelligence community for them to remain anonymous. And then around 2004, the U.S. government released Tor publicly and open sourced that. There are a lot of misconceptions on the dark web. No? So first and foremost, if you say dark web, automatically this iceberg picture shows up. No? But this is very misleading. It tells us that there are a lot more content in the dark web versus the surface web. Another misconception is that only hackers with black hoodies, no, will be able to access the dark web. No? And there's even this story, no, that there are 5 levels of the dark web. Yung level 5 is the deepest and the darkest. When you go there, nobody can get out there alive. There are only 2 persons who were able to get there out alive. Si Chuck Norris and si Cardo ng Ang Probinsyano. No? But of course, that is not true. The reality is, there are a lot more content on the surface web as compared to the dark web. No? There are around 1.13 billion sites on the surface web. When I say surface web, that's a typical internet, no, that we go to, no, in Google, Facebook, YouTube. There are around 50 billion web pages indexed by Google. On the dark net or on the dark web, there are only around 1.2 million indexed by Torch. See, Torch is like the Google, no, of the dark web. No? Only 1.2 million. So imagine, not even 1%. No? And a lot, around 95% to 99% that you will see in the dark web are all trash. It's garbage. It's full of garbage. Those are mostly scams and frauds. No? Anyone can download Tor and use it. Anyone can even participate as a relay in the dark web. There's nothing proprietary in terms of the algorithms being used in the dark web. It's typical. AES-256, TLS, Diffie-Hellman. It's the same, no? It is based on Mozilla Firefox. And established, so the code of the Tor is based on Mozilla Firefox. It is called the Tor, or the onion router, primarily because data is constantly encrypted at multiple layers. So there is nothing really fascinating about the dark web. What's interesting about it is how it makes you anonymous. And this is how it looks like. No? On the left is a client with a Tor browser. On the right is a web server. No? The typical web server that is the, say for example, on the ClearNet, or on the surface web, no? Google, Yahoo, so on and so forth. No? At the middle are different onion routers or onion relays. So what happens here is that the client will first talk to the Tor directory. I need 3 onion relays. 3. By default, 3, we could get more. No? It is configurable. The Tor director will now, or the Tor directory will provide you 3 onion relays. It will pick it at random out of around mga 7,500 onion relays that is available now. And then, the client will first establish a tunnel to onion relay 1 or OR1. No? Hey, I want to establish a channel, and then the first channel will be created. No? And then the next is that since the client would know the IP address of OR2, no, I will now tell OR1, can you please establish another circuit to OR2? And one will now establish another circuit to OR2, no? To OR2. So what's interesting about this is that when the client talks to OR2, OR1 does not know the message. OR1 will not know whatever the client is sending to OR2. And OR2 only knows that the traffic is coming off from OR1. OR2 will have no idea where the client is. The client will now tell OR2, can you please establish another tunnel for me going to OR3? And then a route or a tunnel will be created. Again, the same thing. Anything that the client tells OR3, OR1 and OR2 will have zero idea about it. Zero idea. OR3 only knows that the traffic is coming off from OR2, and it will have no idea where OR1 is or even the client is. No? And OR3 will be the one connecting by the web server on the ClearNet. No? So the Tor directories and the Tor relays, those are both open source. No? It is available. You can download it. It has a list, no, on the surface web. No? So if a vendor tells you that we can block Tor, that is primarily just blocking the list of Tor directories and Tor relays. No? That is open. You can download it. It's not a secret. The critical component on this infrastructure is the third OR, no? the OR3. That is the exit node. Because OR3 will have visibility on your traffic if you are accessing an HTTP website. No? So if you are on the dark web, please don't access anything, no? HTTP, because OR3 will have visibility on that. It has the capability to control your network. No? So that's how powerful OR3 is. Because if you are accessing, say, for example, a bank, no? xbank.com.ph, OR3, if I have control to OR3, I can now create a fake website and route you there. No? So you can customize Tor, the exit or OR3 or the exit node. You can choose whatever country you'd like to exit. No? At this time, that is exiting via Germany. Let's go to sample sites. Some sample sites, no? New York Times. On the left would be the normal browser. On the right would be the Tor browser. If you can see the URL there, below, yung NewYorkTimes.com, that is the typical surface web. No? On the right, yung URL is a .onion address, and you can see the random alphabets and numbers there. No? That is the base 32 code of the actual website. No? If I access that .onion URL on the normal Mozilla Firefox or Safari, of course, it will now provide me an error page. Most of the media organizations, they would have presence both on the dark web and on the ClearNet, primarily because of the confidential tips that you can provide them. No? If you want to stay anonymous, no, and provide tips to the New York Times, you go to the dark web. No? That's why if you have the New York Times URL and go to /tips, on the left, it is an error page. But on the dark web, /tips, /tips ka, you can get a confidential or an information or a web page that is working. There are search engines in the dark web, and the more popular ones is Amiya and Torch. They are the ones who has indexed the dark web. No, if you are searching for .onion addresses, no, you use Torch and also the Amiya. There are email addresses. If you want to create an email address, it's Torbox and Mail to Tor. It is very easy to create an email address there. All you need is a username and password, nothing else. It won't ask you for first name. It won't ask you for your mobile number or even your country. No, that's Torbox or Mail to Tor. There is a hidden wiki in the dark web. So it lists down some of the sites. Some of them are illegal sites. It is distributed. It is distributed or divided into different categories. No, the financial would be if you'd like to counterfeit money. Commercial would be more of hacking services, and of course, yung drugs if you want to buy drugs, of course. But these are the sample sites. On the left is the one that are selling drugs. At the middle would be the one that is a murder for hire, and on the right would be the dark web hackers if you want to hire a hacker. Again, most of this one are fraud and scams. No, you buy something here, you buy via Bitcoin, and there's going to be no response. They will just get your Bitcoin. No? So most of them are frauds. Again, around 99% of them are frauds. No, it's not true. Buying drugs there whatsoever. But there are a couple sites that are that existed, no, that has sold drugs and firearms. No, one of which is the Berlusconi market, but it is now closed down around 2019. It is now closed. There are a number of forums there. Very good forums are Health Forum. This is a forum for cybersecurity specialists and hackers. So it closed down, it's now back. And some forums are talking about the not so, I'd say not so informative, no, mga forums. Just like this one, the alien threat awareness. And at the time, they were talking about a topic, no, why are aliens always naked? They would always go to the Earth with special spacecraft, and then they don't have any suits, no? So those are the types of things that you would see in the dark web. This is the nuke shop. I don't know why other countries are having a hard time getting nuclear missiles. No, of course, this is not true. No, if you want to buy a nuclear missile for around mga 50 bitcoins, no, again, these are frauds. No, these are trash. No, and this nuke shop offers free delivery daw sa bahay nyo. No? Good luck. Okay, so we've talked about the perspective from the client. No, let's talk about the perspective from the server. No, from the server side, because note that the dark web does not have any DNS. So how are you going to access a website in the dark web? No, if without DNS. No, so I have a client below and I have an onion server at the top. No, the first thing that will happen is that the onion server will create or choose an introduction point. And then the onion server will share the IP address and the public key of that introduction point to the hidden service directory. And then the client will now talk to the directory server. I want to access that particular server. No? What is its introduction point? And then HS directory server will provide the client its introduction point, and the client will now choose a rendezvous point. So at this time, the client, you, would have both the introduction point and the rendezvous point. And the client will now access or talk to the introduction point with a secret and a message saying, I want to access that particular web server. The introduction point will now talk to the onion server with a message and the one-time secret, and the onion server will now go to the rendezvous point, and that's where it meets the client. No? At this point, so the thing here is that the interesting part here is that the client will never know where the onion server is. The onion server will never know where the client is. So it provides anonymity. There are use cases of the dark web. Some are criminal activities such as financial crime, illegal goods, services, hacking, human trafficking. But there are also legitimate activities or legitimate use case of the dark web. No? Primarily intelligence community, whistleblowing, journalism, and ordinary citizens trying to evade restrictions by their government. So, as a summary, I'll provide some usage and guidelines. No? Although the dark web provides anonymity, no? It provides a certain level of anonymity. If you use it to do illegal activities, law enforcement will track you down. They will track you down. I've seen it. So if you go to the dark web, if it's only for side hustles, then it's okay, no? If it's for illegal activity, then just don't do it, no? Second is do not reuse the same logins as the ClearNet. And last but not the least, always visit sites that are encrypted or HTTPS. No? And that is my last slide. Thank you very much for listening.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Cotaz, for that very insightful presentation right there that was brought to us by Cisco, of course, trying to demystify the dark web and letting us know how we can actually make use of it in, I don't know if it's in our daily lives, really, but... And now let's take a look at, the summary of sorts of Mr. Cotaz's presentation. So one of the biggest takeaways, of course, is that when you are on the dark web, you have encrypted cybersecurity. You can identify threats. You can detect threats. There's a lot of misconceptions, of course, about the dark web. But the great thing about it is that you can communicate autonomously since 2002. And the biggest thing of all is, of course, the anonymity that it can provide you. But once again, Mr. Cotaz reminds us that if you are planning on doing anything illegal, please don't do it, because it might take a little longer, but authorities will still be able to find you. So once again, thank you so much, Mr. Cotaz, for that presentation.